Okay, here we are.
And we're back
And
again.
we're back again.
All right.
It's a lesson session 7.
7.
Yes.
Episode 7.
Cheers.
We're here 7 weeks.
7 times we've
7
done
times.
this.
It's like been a little more than 7 weeks.
I don't know if you've been here 7 times, but we have done this for
We've
7
been
times.
here.
We're getting better at it.
We are.
We're pretty impressed with
It's
ourselves.
not taking us 3 hours to
No.
set up, which is
No,
good.
still light out, so
It's
we're good.
So
We're
we're on a lesson session.
We're on a lesson session, and we are going to talk about management.
Management.
So we defined management.
Well,
We
yes,
didn't.
we did. We didn't.
We didn't. We studied management.
So we came across the sermon.
You can take credit for it.
I've used this in one of the classes. I think I was telling you.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
teach this management class at the college, this was one of the videos that I make the students watch. And so it started again. I've not taught this in over a year,
Mhm.
and they asked me to teach it again. And it
So you're
started
just-
this Monday. So I was like, oh, I need to listen to it again. And man, it's just
So
the
good.
greatest sermon on management. Which how often do
It
you
took
get
me
sermons on
hours to go
management?
through it.
Yeah.
It took me hours.
Yeah.
Because I had to keep going back.
And
And I have
notes.
4 pages of notes.
Yeah.
So,
So we will.
we're going to be
put-
here all night.
Yeah.
It'll be dark by the time
Yes.
we leave.
Well, and I think we'll put the sermon in the
In there.
notes because it's
We know
well
how to do
worth
that now. Yes.
clicking on it. And I mean, we'll try to break it down and digest it as this is one of the lesson ones, but no doubt, Dr. Monroe, it's Dr. Miles Monroe,
Right.
which tragically was killed in a plane accident. I mean, at the peak of his ministry, and he's just got an amazing story.
He's got an amazing voice. It's 2004. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
No.
new.
And he came out of the business world and then became a pastor. So his passion was
Business.
and faith
Right,
and
right.
just, so he does it well. But that's what we're going to kind of break down as management, just because we both loved the
Right.
sermon so
Right.
much and we got so many notes from
We thought
it.
we could
so-
talk all year about it, which
We
is a
probably
little
could.
scary,
Yeah.
but we won't.
So we bypassed a little bit at the beginning because we'll come back to that
I think
at
so.
the
Yeah.
last session that we talk about management and kind of do it, but we really wanted to get into the definitions of management.
Mm.
I think he came up with some definitions of management that were amazing. And
Yeah.
I clearly did not manage well because I don't have my remarkable and I'm back on a phone that keeps going dark on me. So I'll do my best. But so let's just what
Okay.
are some of your notes or some of your
Mine,
thoughts?
I said, what is management and why did God create man? Which I thought was nobody ever asked that question, right? And so he said, management is the efficient use of an effective use of resources. Management is the effective coordination of resources to meet goals, intentionally accepting responsibility with accountability to oneself and to one's authority, the successful fulfillment of stewardship with accountability to God.
Yeah,
Sure
so
saying.
those things, but break down some of those. I mean, management, the effective use and efficient application of resources. So just that, we have resources and management is effectively and efficiently using the resources that we've been given.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
I think he got into what are the resources that God gave
Right.
us, which I think that's what I could spend a ton of time on is all of us have been given different resources.
Right.
And knowing your resources,
And how do we,
and then how do I effectively
Allocate those.
manage that and efficiently manage those resources?
Right. so what do you do?
Well, and I think it changes,
I know,
right?
yeah.
I mean, so right now, the resources that God's given me are different than the resources years
Yeah.
ago that I
Right.
had. So I
Right.
think there is some fluidity to that too. Like
Yeah.
management isn't doing this today and I'm going to do it forever.
Mhm.
It's changed for me.
Well, and I think, what you manage well, you get more of,
Right.
right?
You
And
talked
I
about
think
that.
we're going through this phase, I think, just in life work,
Right.
right? And saying, wait a second, we need to reassess and regroup and really manage this well. We sort of got successful, everything was great, and we sort of went, oh, we have the resources. And, I think now we're getting some blessings because we're becoming more efficient. We're sort of back to, and I think that's what God did to me at Legacy year after year after year, whether it was with people, whatever the resource was. It wasn't just money, but it was, up, you're getting a big head. Let's go back and redo that again. And it takes years, I think, to form and cull what is really efficient. Like you never get it totally right.
Well, and it's almost like salvation. It's
Yeah.
sanctification process, right?
It's a journey. Yeah.
2 steps forward, 1 step back. We get successful and get more resources, and
Right.
then I'm not being efficient and effective with them.
Right.
So we go back, and then you're like, oh wait, we got it.
Right.
together
Well, as a
again,
financial person,
Right.
like, right, every single person, gets a raise and their standard of living goes up, and they get a raise and their
Does.
standard of living
That's
goes up.
so true.
And so
Why?
it's that.
Why
I mean,
can't
it's
we
right.
do better?
Why do we? And some of it's very justifiable, but it is that's how our culture teaches us to do it. And I don't think I don't think that is necessarily good stewardship.
No.
And it's not necessarily efficient. I mean,
Right.
it's, I think we have a tendency to be ineffective with what we do, whether we're giving it away, no matter what we're doing with it, whether we're taking care of our homes or whatever, get a little bit lazy with it.
Well, and he said that's my big asterisk. God will not allow growth when
Yeah.
there is no management.
No.
And that just hurts,
I
because
know.
I think I know that.
Yes.
And I believe that. We see that in the parable of the talents, and
Yes.
to whom much is given, much is asked. We know all the verses, but
Yep.
he just kind of laid it out in a way that made it so much more practical to my day-to-day life.
Right.
And that was, it made me go back and call the manager and say, listen, we had a broken toaster. This is how simple it is.
Right.
And we just didn't return it because it was an inconvenience. And
Right.
it wasn't a
Right.
ton of money.
No.
But it was money that
We're
just
not stewarding our
inconvenienced.
resources.
We didn't steward.
Yeah.
Well. So there's no way God's going to grow us
Yes.
when we're not managing what we have
The
well
details.
and stewarding that well.
Right. And it is the little bitty
little
stuff.
Yep.
It's I went through an exercise a couple years ago, and just going down our credit card and like, why do each of us have a Spotify account? I don't understand this, right? And we had DirecTV, we had Comcast, and we're spending $500 a month, and we can have what's it called? IQ Fiber now, and YouTube TV, and it's $125.
Yeah.
It's just such poor stewardship.
There's a company now that the company actually goes through and will eliminate
like recurring
stuff. Like you pay a company to stop your recurring, because how many times some of these are yearly recurring, and all of a sudden January rolls around and my account gets tagged for $90. I'm like, what
did I do?
Here,
exactly.
I've subscribed to the Daily Wire for 7 years and didn't notice it because it only tags
and
me
they
once
undo
a
that.
year. And they will go find all of them and undo them for you, which I haven't done it yet. But I'm like, man, somebody capitalized on my lack of management.
Right.
And made a business out of it, which is really good management.
Right. It's really good of them. It's sort of pathetic on our part, because I don't think that appeals to me.
Yeah.
But I thought that he said, whatever you mismanage, you will lose. Other people will benefit. Manage what you have already before you ask for more.
Yeah.
Make what you have better.
It changed my prayer life these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, me too. This had such an impact on me. It really did.
It's a powerful stuff. But it changed. I got up every morning, and we had done this. It's something you had given me a while ago. We have a pillow by our bed, and I just get up and kneel in the morning and before bed. I leave the pillow there as a reminder, and it's 2 seconds, but it's just starting and ending.
Right. Especially if you have to pee.
Well, and it happens
I sometimes
like that
have to come back.
I'm like, I can hold it.
It's terrible. I'm
It's
like,
a quick prayer.
Sometimes I've been like, Lord, please just keep it. Sorry.
True. It is so true. As soon as you get up, I gotta pee.
Oh, I gotta pee. As soon as I'm vertical, it's like, well, I'm older than you too.
That is so true. And the prayers will go faster because I gotta pee.
I'm like, thank you for waking me up this morning.
Oh, okay,
let me hold it till I get there.
Come back. So
sorry,
true.
that was a whole minute
so
of
true.
that.
But I changed my prayer these last couple of weeks because we've had so much growth.
Yeah.
And we're looking at expanding again. And
right.
I'm that person, just grow, grow, grow. And it's been, Lord, instead of praying, help us grow, help us that, it's been, help me manage this well.
Yeah.
And it's recognizing the toaster and the broken acai bowl that we never returned. And again, little tiny stuff, but just, man, I got to manage these.
And the floor should, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like taking care of the floor. Like it's just take care of what you have. And I think it's so easy for us to go, oh, well, I want this, or I'm praying for this to happen. You know, we need this, we need that. So,
Yep.
anyway,
I mean, he killed it.
I nailed it.
The other thing he said, again, mine went dead on me because I don't have the remarkable. Hold on. Oh man, what did I do?
We took the exact same notes. I think that's
we really did. It was that good. He said, manage what you have well, change your prayer life, help me manage better. That's what I was going to do. Why does I keep doing that? Just change my prayer life, help me manage better. Management, intentional acceptance of responsibility for your resources. I loved the words that he used. Intentional acceptance of responsibility, which you were just saying too. You know, an individual in your life, kind of the narcissistic apology of, well, I'm sorry, but you
shouldn't have heard it that way. Right.
How often in management do I find myself doing that and not what he says, intentionally accepting the responsibility?
Which is big.
It's hard.
I think the hardest part is saying, well, I made that mistake.
Right.
It's just like, who wants to do that? Who wants to say that?
Yep.
But it is being
intentional acceptance of responsibility
and accountability to, you know, when you start thinking about like, I'm accountable to the Lord and I'm going to stand before the Lord, changes things a little bit, right? Like I think about, we wrote all those goals out at the beginning of the year that I had, and I've gone back and looked at them and I'm like, well, we missed first quarter deadlines.
We were going to have all this.
I had these dates going on but like nobody's really holding me accountable for that. Except me. And I have to say, Lord, I know you gave me these. Like I went to a retreat and God gave me these. I wrote these down and I'm not being as intentionally forward moving as I think I should be. Yeah.
Management, successful fulfillment of stewardship. You said, I wrote down, if we are not growing or doing what we hoped, it's not because we lack the resources, because he owns it all. It is because of poor management.
Yeah.
So, as goal setters, if we've not achieved a goal that we set, if we've not gotten to where we want to be, it isn't because we lack resources. Right. And that's, I think, financial resources, which for me is always the big thing. Time, talent.
Yeah.
Like, if he's called us to do it and we've set a goal to do it, it's better not to make a vow than to make it and break it. So if we've set a goal and we've not achieved it,
it goes back to what we talked about last week about margin, right? You and I both kicked our butt to get here today.
Right.
And, we're going to start it, right on time. And, we are 2.5 hours later than...
Oh no, is the camera still going?
It's going. It's going. I'm like, 13 minutes.
Oh, we lost it again.
Yeah, I'm not moving my wrist.
Just
what?
Sorry.
What did you say?
We went back and watched the whole video, and you and I are talking, and then we both go,
like, is it still working?
We just kept recording. Sorry.
Yeah, that was hysterical. That's our cover picture.
It is.
I thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we're going to do. Just on a side note of the podcast, we figured out how to put a picture on the podcast. Right. So we've decided to take the worst screenshot of us.
Of the whole
that video, and that's going to be our cover photo.
We have one where Tammie's got her boot up in the air, flashing everybody with her thigh.
We have one
the other one where we're looking. I don't know what today will be.
So we're going to find the worst little spot on the picture in the podcast.
We may start taping the setup.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of
bloopers
there.
Just the setup alone. So sorry.
Anyway,
management.
No, but what we're just saying. The margin. Like because that's a resource. Time is a resource that, I don't have any accountability, like except to my calendar, right? And how many times you say, "I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'm a few minutes late." Today I was like, "Okay, I have 36 miles in my tank to empty." And
texted earlier, like, if we're meeting at Murray Hill, I got to stop and get gas.
I was like,
and that's changing my day.
Right. It was like, when am I going to do that? Am I going to get it? So it's pathetic that my calendar would be so tight that I had to be late here because I had to get gas. So
me too.
Accountability is not
Yep.
Probably need to build some of that in somewhere. But
Agreed.
so should we talk about these kind of? He was in
so
Genesis.
He went to Genesis.
Genesis 1, and
yeah, he said God will never tell you to do something without giving you the instructions to do it. And then that's when he took us to Genesis 1,
right,
with Adam.
Right.
And he said he commissioned Adam, but he gave him like specific instructions for Adam to use the resources to manage what God gave.
And I have, it was the secret to good business is verse 28. Is that what you wrote?
I did not write that. What is that?
Okay. The secret to good business is verse 28. So, which is, and God bless them, right?
God
so
bless them.
I think that's the end of.
Yeah. Secret to good business. Oh, look. I didn't have that.
We should take turn taking note. Then we just
should.
share. That would be so efficient and a good opportunity to steward our resources well.
Oh, that's right. Told Adam to have dominion over the earth, verses 27.
Yep.
And he gave 5, which I thought was amazing how he got the 5 steps out of that verse
to
Adam. Because when he said there's 5 steps, I'm like, that verse just says have dominion. Like,
right.
What are the 5 steps?
Fruitful and multiply.
Where'd you get it?
Right.
And so the way he broke it down, I thought was great. The 5 steps. Business begins with God's. Oh, that was so cool. Look, as you're going back through your notes, kept talking about all the companies that are doing well followed God's program, and that this was God's program. Right. So he said, if you look at Apple and Microsoft and
they were like
companies, they followed this
whether
program.
they knew they were doing it or not.
They didn't mean to, right? I'm sure this was not the message they heard. Tesla, all of them. So this is the program. We're giving you the steps to success.
Steps to successful
Here
business.
Are the 5.
Heard it here second.
Monroe in
2004. You heard it
through us.
He's dead. He's not going to take credit. We should probably give him more credit since he's not with us.
Step 1.
Fruitful.
Be fruitful.
Yes.
And be productive.
He said fruitful means to be productive. And I think so often we think, oh, it's multiply. I like check that box. I have my kids. I'm done. Multiplying this, vessel is closed for multiplication. And it was just a good get you back into what sort of his whole point, which he started with, everybody has a seed, and we're all from a seed, and that seed is going to grow in us if we let it. And it brought me back to, like that seed, it pre-existed, right? And it was there.
And I love that he talked about the seed, and he said that command doesn't say be seedful.
Right.
It's a seed has been put inside of you. When God designed you in your mother's womb, he put a seed in you, and everybody's seed is different. And he didn't say, go forth and be seedful. Right. The seed is already there. He said, now be fruitful.
A few moments later.
Okay. Well, what's the expression? Pride comes before the fall. That's what I was trying to think.
We thought we were doing so good.
Yeah, we're great with this. Whatever.
I was in full preaching mode.
She's got her hands out.
And I was stuck there.
It was a seed.
Back to the seed.
We're not supposed to be seedful. We're supposed to be.
I think it was so cool that he said that verse doesn't say
we're not supposed to be seedful.
We're supposed to be fruitful, which means there is a seed in each of us, at least one seed, maybe many seeds. And our job is to use that seed and make it fruitful. And like you said, we always use that verse about kids. Which it is, right? Obviously,
for sure. That's a big part of it. Yeah,
but it's not that, because the actual definition of it, when he broke it down, is the fruitful. Actually, in the Greek or Hebrew or whatever, was to produce something,
to be productive.
Just produce something.
I have that highlighted, and I loved, to your point, like where you're like, it assumes a seed pre-exists.
Yes,
which, if you're going to be fruitful, you have to have something to start with.
In you. And he put it in you. When he knit you together in your mother's womb, we talk about that verse all the time. Yeah. But not only did he make you with this body type and this hair color and this personality, he put a seed in you. And then he said the very first commandment is take the seed that I put in you and make something productive out of it. And everybody's seed is different. And of course, it doesn't just mean kids, because there are people that can't have kids.
Exactly.
And that doesn't mean they're not obedient. Right. This is not just about kids.
Exactly. He says it's a seed of greatness. It is a gift that is your business. And, I think it is. And it's so easy for us to say, business is this. And I think that does, when we talk about working women and we talk about people in the business world, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to look like, you can have a coffee shop, you can have,
a factory.
you could do all kinds of things that are your business, right? That doesn't mean that you go to an office every day. And so I loved that he said a job is what you get paid to do, and your business is what they pay you to become.
I know, I love that. Say that again. That's so good. I wrote it too.
A job is what you're paid to do. Business is what you get paid to become. Yeah. To manifest an idea, a dream that won't go away, a seed waiting to sprout. Produce your own seed. Don't copy somebody else's. Develop your own seed. That's when your business starts. Your wealth is in your seed. Your success is in you. And I think about like my kids and my grandkids, and how cool is it to watch them as they're developing, and their seed is totally different than mine.
Yeah.
There's they have some things, right? There's a genetic piece, but how cool it is to just, we're knit together in our mother's womb with a seed.
With the seed.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I loved, he said, an entrepreneur, I thought this was great. Sorry, my glasses. An entrepreneur is a seed trapped inside someone that won't go away until it's produced fruit. Which, isn't that an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
You just can't not
let it go.
You just can't. Like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if the money's not there. It just doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, this is a seed inside of me that I can't not produce fruit from it.
Which is going to be so great about Catherine.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, next
right.
week.
And I think, we talked a little bit about Lydia last week, which is, there was something in her that everybody saw that wasn't going to go away. It was either going to blossom or die, and so I think Catherine will be so cool to speak to about that.
Because that was it. There was a seed in her, and she couldn't not.
Well, and her husband said,
do something with it.
Like, not to give away the story, but he was like, okay, seriously? Like, I'm sick of this. Let's just do it.
Do it.
Right? So anyway.
And I think it goes to, it doesn't just have to be an entrepreneur.
No, not at all.
The seed could be, I just want to journal every day.
Yeah.
And it's just in you that you need to start journaling. And it's just, I think there's multiple seeds in us. Yeah. And the seeds are different throughout your life. I mean, 20 years ago, there was a seed that was in me to start a daycare.
Right.
The good Lord knows that seed's not in there anymore. And I had people come to me now saying, hey, can we hire you to consult with us to do this? And every part of me is like, heck no.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't pay me money right now to start another daycare. But at the time, it was a seed that I couldn't not be fruitful with.
Right.
And I really believe this seed that he's talking about, it's different throughout your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean an entrepreneur in a business. It can be a seed of a job that you just want, or a house that you really want to get, or there are just things inside you that you're.
Remember, like, the giving tree?
Oh yeah, I read that every year,
right? I mean, the giving tree, the tree for a minute is a swing, and then it's then it becomes their apple. I mean, it changes over time, and it came from a seed. It's just different.
It is,
right? And I think that's, if we use our seeds well, I think we don't stick to one thing, right? You can't, like, okay, I did it, check. I don't think it's being a good steward if we're just going to sit and be complacent and, okay, we got this. I mean, one of the things he said that it hit me so hard, which is, you need to die empty. And I thought, gosh, I don't know if even I go to bed empty every day. Most days I feel like I sort of gave it all, but am I going to stand before the Lord and miss? Like, what did I miss? I know how much I missed.
What if you stand before the Lord and he opens you up and says, look at all the seeds that I put in you, and you showed up at heaven with the seed still in you, and there's no fruit from them. And from the fruit, which is everything we should be, is sharing Jesus with others. So if you would have used this seed to start this business, or if you'd use this seed to paint that picture, or if you'd have used this seed to move into that neighborhood,
Right.
I don't
That
care
somebody
what
would
it
have paid attention
is,
to.
somebody would have heard Jesus from that. But you sat on a seed.
Right. Which is then the multiplier effect.
Right.
Right. Which
Next.
is we're going to stay on
So-
number one too long, but the multiplier effect is
Right.
exactly that.
Yep.
Like take that seed and reproduce it. And I think, you know, it doesn't have to look the same, right? I mean, there's so many different ways. One minute you're doing a daycare, the next minute you're doing a coffee shop, right? I mean, I think, but reproducing and multiplying is what really makes the fruit go out into the world and share the gospel, right? And that's how we multiply. So
so step 1, be fruitful. Step 2, you have to multiply it.
Yeah.
So don't just produce it, but then multiply it.
Right.
Keep going with it. Excuse me. Step 3, he said, was replenish, which is to distribute, or the distribution side of it. This I thought was cool. He said, Jesus came, right? So this was an example of not like necessarily an entrepreneur business. Jesus came, that was the fruit. His disciples was step 2, he multiplied it. They reproduced it. Then he said, go into all the world, and that was the distribution. So in that
model.
example, the model, right? He came, that was the fruit. There was a seed. The seed was Jesus, he came. Then he multiplied with his disciples, and then they distributed, replenished the whole world. That's the model.
Yeah.
That's it. And he talks about all the businesses doing it. They had a seed, an idea. I mean, one of them talked about they left college and didn't finish to get in their garage. Right. I mean, so that was it. But they had a seed. They birthed an idea, which had fruit. Then they multiplied it, multiple locations, multiple streams, multiple whatever, and then replenished by distribution, distributing it everywhere.
And I think not to get us off track of your 1, 2, 3 thing, but I think we do maybe in either with Catherine or the next, the laughter session, I think we should talk about why we don't, right? I mean, I think there's so much fear. I think that, if we really actually believed that God planted this seed, I have confirmation, I prayed about it. I also have some confirmation from some people around me that know the Lord and I can trust what they can help me with. Why don't I do it? So anyway, we'll
because fear would be the big factor, right? Fear of failure, fear. We blame it on I didn't hear God. I'm not sure.
Fear
is it His will?
What is everybody going to say? Fear of how am I going to take care of my kids if I do this, and my husband's going to strangle. Like there's just so many things. So I feel like we should talk about that.
We can talk about that. So
we can talk to Catherine too about that.
Yeah, she would know. Step 4, trying to get through.
Yes, we're trying to get through. Sorry.
4 was subdue, to control the market. So he kept talking about it from a business standpoint. So there was the fruit, you produce the fruit, you're fruitful, then you multiply, you replenish, and then you subdue. Basically, you control the market in your area, which he went into a lot of things about that.
I love that he said you go into business to dominate the market. Be the best in your gifting. You become sought after. And, that there's a whole lot in that. Reputation, there's a whole lot of things in there. But
that was 5. Then have dominion.
But then have dominion.
That goes to the biblical principle of we are called to excellence. And if God put a seed in you, and tells you to be fruitful with it, and tells you to multiply it, and tells you to replenish it, and then tells you to subdue the world, then you should have dominion. Right. Because it's God's. It's not yours. So it should be the absolute best of anything. So we should have dominion.
You were created to dominate an area of your gifting. What were you created to master? No one can do it like you can. Your business is trapped inside of you. And he talks about, Jesus in the temple, and his parents looking for him, and they're like, I'm about my Father's business. And I think, when have you ever said that about something that, 100% about something? No, we're not Jesus, but it, that would change everything. That would just change absolutely everything if it was, well, I'm doing what my Father asked me to do.
I mean, could you even imagine if you answered, if somebody asked you as a Christian,
right.
You're like, well, I am the most dominant in the world in this.
Right.
And not being arrogant about it, but why wouldn't I be?
And they
God
would
gave me a seed. I had a fruit. I multiplied, replenished it. I subdued the market, and I'm now the greatest ever.
Right. And not everybody, but in our own way, we're going to, you're gifting. That's what it is. Yep. So, anyway.
And he ended it, which is probably a great place for us to end today. And again, this sermon just goes on and on and on.
Exactly.
But he ended this section when he was talking about it, and he said, what is the seed in you? And
I knew you were going to say that.
I tell you, I have talked to people. That's not an area I struggle with. I struggle with, there are thousands of seeds, and I need to manage which seed to do when. I don't ever struggle with the seeds, but I cannot tell you how many people I have walked with alongside and counseled who were like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what my seed is. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you need to spend time figuring out what your seed is.
Well, and I mean, not all, but I mean, it's a study. It's a study of yourself. It's a study of what you've done. But you can see. I mean, we know some of the same people that it's like, I really want to tell you what you should do.
Right.
Because
I see your seed.
I see your seed. I know what you're good at. I can direct you in this.
That's my seed. I can tell people what their seed
I have
is.
discernment. So
give me my business card. I'm the seed giver.
I will tell you.
I will tell you your seed.
But I think it does take a lot of self-reflection, and it takes a lot of digging deep and not comparing yourself to anybody else and saying, but this is my seed. This is what God gave me. And, you know, I think being able to say, I'm going to produce my fruit. God gave me this, and I'm going to produce my fruit, and, you know, and I'm going to multiply it. Right. I mean, that's a very cool mission statement.
It is. What's your seed?
What's your seed? And so I feel like I have lots of seeds. But I also feel like my seed is different than yours in that God has given me a seed that probably in a legacy that's going to last longer than me. That's one thing that's been on my path sort of for the whole time. I've prayed about, like, can I be done here? You know, what's happening next? And I just feel like, no, this is my legacy. This is my seed. And it's so fun to watch you have all these different seeds and all these different ideas, right? And be a visionary on those. So I think they don't always look the same.
But part of that is, I think I have the seed of vision. Right. That's the seed. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be. I literally called Sean the other day and I said, have you been pray about, what about being a missionary? He's like, what? And I was like, and then 2 days later, I was like, what if we became farmers? What are you talking about? And I was like, I just get going on these. And that is,
you did try that. Are we clear on the fact that you tried the gardening thing?
Tried the gardening thing, but I thought farming, like legit farming,
like
with
chicken
tractors
smell.
And factories,
No.
and like I didn't want animals. I wanted food. I was like a corn farm or strawberry farm or grapes. I was like, we can get a vineyard in California and grow grapes and just live on the farm and sell the grapes.
I hate to be a vision crusher, but you know, I mean, there are some things that I would try to talk you out of, but okay, whatever.
Well, there was a bug on the porch right after I said it. I was like, Sean, how did I get the bug? He's like, and you want to be a farmer? I was like, well,
fine. Yeah, God always shows us. God, clear the path.
My seed is I can't stop thinking.
Yeah, that is true of you.
I just can't stop thinking of things, and then I need somebody to come alongside of me whose seed is a seed of administration and task management, because I'll just vision it up. And then somebody's
you're very good at creating the chaos, right? You create the chaos and you go, okay, we're going to do this, and not there, and not there, and somebody's got to come in and go bring order to chaos. But I do think, like, you know, I probably have to work on being more visionary, right? And I created my vision thing at work, and, you know, I've been working on that and my pillars and all that kind of stuff in an attempt to spend more time on the vision side of it. And you probably have to spend more time on the administration. That's why we complement each other. But
and even the management, as we're talking about it, I think that's where the prayer has been, is, Lord, oh my gosh, I could get so far ahead of me with the seeds.
That's right.
I'm not managing, and then I'm not returning toasters, and then I'm not managing.
Then you're not.
They go hand in hand.
That's what I'm saying.
Effective and efficient management is, there is a seed. I have to multiply it, and
don't you think sometimes that's why God put us together? Is because you can say to me, like, that doesn't sound very strategic.
Right.
Like, that's not strategic planning. And, you know, and I can say to you, stop.
Right.
We have to make a to-do list, and let's not get everybody quitting because you're going to drive. Right. I mean, I think we can say that to each other with like, we know we have, you have gifts that
different seeds
that I value. And I also think, but I think we have enough in common that we have both, you know, that we can see both in each
what
other.
we have in common is we're both entrepreneurs.
Yes.
By heart.
Right.
And that in and of itself is that just I'm going to do.
I'm going to do.
I have the entrepreneurial side of just thinking crazy, vision, dreaming, all this stuff. You have entrepreneurial side of getting it done.
Yeah. Right.
Those together.
I know, it's fantastic.
We're going to have dominion.
Oh my God. We're going to get it. Our next step is an Instagram. We're going to Instagram.
Dominate the social media world.
I think that's all we got today.
That's great. That's great. And we will be closing off as the dominators of everything.
What is our Instagram handle going to be? We are not misfits.
You're not misfits.
We are no longer
dominators.
misfits. Yeah. So I will produce my fruit and I will multiply it is what he left us with. But and fill the world with our greatness. You see that? That's funny. That's funny. Okay, we're not going to do that. We are going to get an Instagram though.
We do need to get an Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to end with something funny.
Oh yeah, the jokes.
One of the things we talked
forgot about the jokes.
Part of this was we really want to be.
We are funny
without the jokes. We want to make people laugh, and so especially
people are laughing at how ridiculous we are. You know what? This is our seed. God has given us this joint.
The seed of humor.
God gave us this seed to sit here and act like total goofballs, and we think we're funny. So whatever.
And we laugh, which is what we need every week. I need the laughter.
Okay, jokes.
Especially on the lessons ones, though. I thought we could get a little bit, not deep, but I mean, they're a little bit more serious. So I want to
so you're going to tell me a joke.
Of starting jokes.
I actually looked up good Christian joke books.
So some of these I have a lot. Not a lot. I have a couple. I don't know which one to read.
Pick a good one. I'm a terrible joke teller.
Being that... this will be a good
You're probably a good joke teller. I don't know.
I'm not a good joke teller.
Oh, really?
I'm terrible at
No, I'm a terrible joke teller.
I love laughing at them, but I'm terrible at
me
telling
too. I'm a terrible joke teller.
This one will be good, though, because
I start laughing halfway in the middle of it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll forget the punchline.
Yeah.
I'll get all the way there. I'm like, wait.
And right. And one of the kids will go, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, this is what
I
happens
don't have the
at
right
the end.
rhythm.
Yeah.
Like, you know how comedians have to have a rhythm.
Okay, go ahead.
But this will be a good one because we talked about being
Are we
fruitful.
still taping? Yes, we are.
So being
Okay.
fruitful is not just about sex and having kids. Yeah,
right. Yes, we're taping.
We're good.
Okay, good.
Important stuff here. Which there was a positive thing in that we didn't even get to is that commandment is not just having sex. It's not just having sex. It's not about sex. Okay, so here's the joke.
Okay.
A priest. I got really stupid glasses. A priest offered a nun a lift. She got in and crossed her legs, forcing her gown to reveal a leg. The priest nearly had an accident. After controlling the car, he stealthily slid his hand up her leg. And the nun said, Father, remember Psalms 129. The priest removed his hand, but changing gears, he let his hand slide up her leg again. The nun once again said, Father, remember Psalms 129. The priest apologized. Sorry, sister, but the flesh is weak. Arriving at the convent, the nun sighed heavily and went on her way. On his arrival at the church, the priest rushed to look up Psalms 129, and it said, Go forth and seek. Further up, you will find glory. The moral of the story, if you are not well informed in your job, you might miss a great opportunity.
No, your Bible. That was good. That was cute. Okay, yeah, joke of the day. Oh my God. Where did you find that?
I just was Googling management joke. That's what popped up, the priest and the nun. It's
very appropriate. Then know your Bible. Think about if you don't know your Bible.
If you don't know your Bible. He missed a really good opportunity there. That nun was telling him, go for it.
Okay, bye. We're saying goodbye, I think, before this goes downhill further.
Bye.
It's still light out, so